Hey guys, Drifter here. Today's video is going to be something unusual because I'm uploading an entire 1 hour podcast. I was the guest on the Soundglee podcast that was recorded a few days ago. It just came out, and the conversations got rather heated. I ended up arguing or maybe politely discussing some things with many of the guests on the podcast, and there ended up being like a lot of me in the podcast, probably a bit more than there should have been, but the people that did the podcast said it was totally okay if I uploaded it and put it on this channel as long as I gave them a link to their thing going on. Anyway, the gameplay that you're about to see is a mix of different classes recommended from you guys. You all sent me recommendations through Twitter, and I try to do as many as I possibly could, and a few of my own goofier classes, so I hope you enjoy this super long 1 hour video.
Hey guys, what's up? Caleb here, the host of the Soundglee podcast, and for our official first episode that we're showcasing to you guys, we have a special guest here. Driftor, please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, Drifter here. If you're watching this on my channel, you know who I am. If you're watching this on the Soundglee iTunes account or anywhere else, then I am a YouTuber. I play Call of Duty mostly and review guns and occasionally make videos that are way too long, but people watch them anyway.
Alright, and our second guest, Yella, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, what is going on, guys? My name is Yella. I own the channel GTA 5 videos and I also manage for Soundglee. So, yeah.
Alright, so before we begin, Yella, where are you from so people know where you're from?
Yeah, I am from the Netherlands, and sometimes it's hard for me to talk and like know what you guys are saying, and I might pronounce some words wrong, but
You sound fine.
we'll get there.
So,
Don't
we were
worry.
talking previously about Pirate Bay and how it's blocked for you specifically, and a lot of European countries for that matter. So, what's the deal with that? Can you explain that for me really quick? Because I don't actually know a little bit about like what happened.
Well, there is one movie company. They actually like make movies. They produce them, I guess, and they blocked it for us, for everyone, and they also blocked the proxies and everything. It's weird. It's really weird, but can't help it.
So I was under the understanding that there was actually more pirating going on in that part of Europe because I lumped the Netherlands in with like the Scandinavian countries, like the very ultra-liberal functioning socialist countries, and there's like all piracy up there in the Arctic North area, but
Yeah.
not in the Netherlands. And you're saying a movie company blocked it? Like this movie company owned the network or asked the network nicely or just like told the government to block this shit and they were like, yeah, totally, we'll block it, we'll flip that switch, it's gone.
Yeah, so yeah, they actually asked the government, and the government actually was fine with it. Just
From my understanding, it's that Holland and Amsterdam and the Netherlands and the Dutch, you guys, like, your government really just is totally strict about the anti-piracy laws, and SOPA specifically. And I remember I was reading an article, and it was like it increased the piracy about 6 months ago when they first started it. It increased by 30% after they made all these laws, and it's just that like that stigma of like, oh, you're gonna make it illegal, well then it's just gonna become more popular if you do that. And
Yeah.
because you can easily get around that from when it first started just by proxies. And it's like it's such a simple thing that's been around for the internet for years, and it's like the government didn't think of that for some reason. So
yeah, it's the same with weed. I mean, it's legal here, and they tried to block it a few years ago, but they did that for about a month or something, and then all the dealers came, and it just was more fucked up. So it just they were like,
Oh,
yeah,
so you got
turn it
our
back
kind
on.
of dealer system, like the people standing on the street selling drugs
Yeah.
illegally versus in the stores where it can be taxed and controlled.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, recently there's been such an increase on shootings in America. I don't know about Europe, but in America there's been a ton. With the Aurora shooting, the Sikh temple in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, and recently there was Empire State Building shooting, which I think happened yesterday. Today is the 25th, so I think it happened on the 24th. So, I mean, like, I want to talk about gun laws and all your two perspective on gun laws and what do you think should be and what do you think shouldn't be.
Um, I think it should be illegal, because you know you don't have the bullets, but obviously if you buy a gun, you want the bullets as well. So there's no need for a gun. You can buy airsoft gun, stuff like that, but not real
Hold up.
guns.
I'm going to take a completely different position than you, and probably not for the reasons you think. Caleb, I'm actually going to disagree with you too. I'm pretty sure that the rate or number of violent shootings has been decreasing since the late 80s or early 90s. The problem is that we now have a more national and very fast-paced media, so
True.
anytime there's any shooting at all, it's always on TV. Same thing with natural disasters. People think the world is ending because there's more bad storms and stuff. It's just the same as it always was, it's just it's there more often. But in the United States, violent crime has been steadily decreasing since the 80s, after the 80s crime wave. And I actually believe that it should be legal to own guns. I believe it should be legal to own lots and lots and lots of things that are illegal all over the world. I guess that's more of a libertarian point of view. But how would I explain this? One of the reasons we own guns in this country is so that if we need to, we can defend ourselves against home invaders, against foreign invaders, or against our own government if our own government becomes tyrannical. And there are places in the United States that are so incredibly vast and so huge. I'm not trying to bunk the Netherlands, but the Netherlands is probably the size as one of our smaller 50 states, and our bigger states tend to be less populated. So you could live in an area for where like 100 or 200 square kilometers, there's just no police and nothing but wilderness and bears. Or if you live in a place and there's no police for 200 square kilometers, how are you going to protect your house or your land if somebody wants to try and rob it?
No, what you said about the media, I didn't actually look into that perspective. I didn't actually think about that, and you're absolutely right. I mean, I can see how that would turn to be the reason why. To me, from my perspective, I've been seeing a ton more about the articles about it. But that you are correct. I mean, the internet's only been around for 10, 15 years now, and now, especially now, you know, information gets spread like so quick, and so you are right with that. My stand on it. I think guns and it should be legal to own a gun. It should be you have the right to bear arms to protect yourself. But I think it needs to be a lot more difficult to get a gun because I mean you see these people do the shootings and the person in the Aurora shootings I forgot the guy's name exactly, but this guy was an absolute nutcase. He was totally out of his mind, crazy. He had a therapist and he still was able to get hold of a gun. And people say it's like, oh, it's not the gun, it's the person that has to kill the person and pull the trigger. And that's true. Like, I think to get a gun, you need to have a psychiatric, you need to go through tests, and it needs to be a very long process of doing it.
Oh, it's not. It's usually like a 2-week process to get a license. They run a standard background check if you've ever been arrested, if you have a felony, any violent crime, and if you have any sort of mental issues, and sometimes I believe alcohol abuse, you don't have the right to own a gun. But there are lots and lots of people that fall through the cracks because there's no psychiatric evaluation.
Yep.
And because the way our gun laws are written, our gun laws are currently, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but they are currently right now a constitutional right, and we're a constitutional country. So that is like the supreme law of the land that overwrites all the other laws. And to change that by adding on more and more things on top, it always gets challenged in courts with unconstitutionality, and it's very difficult to do this. Or if it's like, okay, if crazy people can't have guns, then what kind? Depressed people, or is it schizophrenic people, or is it people that have a mild anxiety disorder? I mean, it's really difficult to draw the line. It's even more. There's a lot of people that are very proud of their guns and their gun rights, and they don't want an arbitrary person, say, let's just say a whack job psychologist, just writing people off as unfit. And who determines that? It's a very complicated thing. Though I know, Yale, you come from a country, or Yale, it's Yale, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. You come from a country where there is no guns, but in the civilian population, there's no guns in the Netherlands, right? I mean, you might have a
Yeah.
few rich people have like an old ass antique or something.
Yeah, we got a real gun. Like my dad has one, but you cannot buy bullets anywhere. Seriously, they're not even dealers for it.
That's interesting.
But what's more interesting is that the culture is radically different. Think about a country like Switzerland, where every single citizen, I think I'm no male, and I think female as well, they're not only allowed to have guns, but they're required to own and maintain an assault rifle. But how many shootings are there? And the difference there. And no, I mean they're required to own assault rifles and be proficient in them. That just sits in like everybody's house, unless I'm mistaken. That's what I've read.
Oh man.
But there's a vast cultural difference. There is in the United States, our country is very chaotic, a lot more chaotic than what you see on TV. Because what you see on TV is Hollywood, and New York, and not a lot else. This country has vast disparities between the wealthy and poor. We have huge ghettos. We have huge influxes of immigrants, so we have different groups and languages competing against each other. There's crazy amounts of economic competition, and then we have gangs coming in. And whereas a country like Netherlands, I view as being relatively stable, as racially and culturally homogenous, the United States is like this big, fiery, boiling pot of clusterfuck.
So,
So,
so
so
what I learned from that is that if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, go to Switzerland. I think they have the right idea over there.
Oh yeah, they have mountains too. Zombies will like move up those cold mountains all nice and slow.
Oh
Or I
man.
remember
Yeah.
in World War II, Switzerland remained neutral, and I think somebody asked one of the Swiss leaders what would happen if Hitler invaded, and he said each of our 4 million citizens would get their rifles, go out, shoot once, and come home.
Oh man, so you brought up the zombie apocalypse. I think now, since you started that, I think we have to talk about our zombie plans because I know we all have one. Every single like nerd or in general has a zombie plan. So Drifter, what's your zombie plan?
My plan is multifold. It depends on what kind of threat level you're dealing with. I would use the word zombie as like a general sort of disaster. We had not too many years ago, Hurricane Katrina hit and knocked power out of neighborhoods for weeks. Or a big hurricane will hit the southern United States. And I know people that had their power out for like a month. And when the food went dry, neighbors weren't so friendly anymore, and things got really chaotic, and people did get shot trying to break into homes and steal food and water and things like that. But for zombies, the plan is generally I have a tiny little Japanese car, and it sucks ass for putting stuff in there. But man, I could drive like 400 miles with absolutely no gas in it. So I would probably load up and go to my family's land, or if I just wake up one morning and there's zombies in my house, I'm going to get in my attic, take as much food in my attic, and sit there and not move. Thankfully, I only eat like once a day and drink like maybe twice a day, so the water and food would last me a long time. I do have a small dog, and he barks a lot, so he probably wouldn't be very useful in a zombie apocalypse. I'd probably have to eat him and then make a nice furry hat out of the fur, or throw him at the zombies as sort of a distraction, like the pipe bombs in Left 4 Dead.
Oh yeah.
My wife is also very useful. She's small, she doesn't eat a lot, she's a nurse, and if I got sick or anything, she could help take care of me. Pretty kind of tomboyish and independent, good with guns. I don't think I'd have to babysit her too much.
Seems legit. Okay. So, for me, let's see, what would I do? Well, at first, I would just get a handheld weapon. I mean, and I wouldn't get like a sledgehammer, just something nice, light, easy to run with. And, I would, I guess, bring my family along with me. I'm assuming that they'd be alive. Hopefully, they'd be alive for it. And I would try to stray away from guns, just for the fact that I'm going to go out there and assume that zombies would be attracted by sound, specifically, more than anything else. Maybe smell. So I don't really think a gun, unless you happen to have a silencer for it, which quite rare.
Those are extremely illegal in the
yeah.
United States. You have to have a very special license for that, and it kind of puts you on the FBI shit list if anybody ever gets shot with a silenced weapon.
Yeah, I mean, I've never even heard the story about someone being shot with a silenced weapon in real life. I mean, that's some James Bond shit right there. So,
Yeah.
I would probably go to my school. Now, it's a technical high school, and so we have shops there, which means we have an automotive shop, a carpentry shop, electrical, plumbing, culinary, like everything you need to really survive or build and just protect yourself could be found there. I mean, for the culinary aspect, which is the shop I'm in, we have enough food to feed 2,000 students for about 4 months in our giant stock room of food. And we have every weapon imaginable. We have cars and automotive. Machine Tool has giant drill bits and weapons that could be turned into that. And Culinary has a ton of knives that can be used. And so I think I could live pretty well in my school if there was ever a zombie apocalypse. And for those listeners out there, if you think that going to like a Walmart or something like that is a good idea, that's a horrible idea. Don't go there, because that's or a gun shop too. A lot of people say I'm going to raid a gun shop. No, you're not, because there's going to be 100 other people trying to raid the gun shop, and where there's people, there's going to be zombies. Like they're going to be attracted by it, and there are going to be some
Fuck
crazy.
the zombies.
There can be
You gotta
some-
worry about people. Have you
Yeah.
played DayZ at all?
Yes, crazy motherfuckers are gonna try to kill you, and The Walking Dead is a perfect example because it's not. A lot of the show is based around the zombies, but it's the psychological aspect that happens to humans. Everyone goes crazy. So, I mean, that's my plan. So, Yellow, what's your plan?
Yeah, I really don't know. There's nowhere to go in the Netherlands. It's for real. In an hour, you are through the Netherlands with just a car.
Wow.
And there live about 15 to 20 million people there.
Holy shit.
It's overpopulated for real. So there is no really like forests
Yeah,
or
get out of the city.
open land. Yeah, see, that's 200 miles away from me. So
I
yeah.
know what you can do. You can just like get a whole bunch of weed and either get up on the roof of a tall building, or maybe down in the subway and close those little iron gates and just sit there and smoke and look at the people trying to get into your little safety area and be like, "Sorry, only food and water for one. Unless you happen to be a beautiful woman, I might can stretch it out for two."
Yeah, but in the Dutch language, of course.
So,
Yes, yes.
you brought up the idea of like just Katrina and power outages. Recently this year, where I live, New England in America, Connecticut and around there, that huge blizzard that happened during last October, during Halloween. Halloween was canceled in my town because of the huge blizzard that happened, which hasn't happened in like 100 years. And vast power outages, about 90% in Connecticut, which is... I'm not actually going to say a number because I have no idea how many people live in Connecticut, but I'm going to ballpark 2 million? Hopefully I'm correct. I hope no one else lives in Connecticut and hears that and be like, fucking dumbass. That's not true. But also in New York, they had a lot of power outages too. And it's just, you have to think, like, what would happen if New York City had a power outage? What would happen? Like, how
People
long...
go crazy without
Yeah.
power.
How long
If
would
you
it
if you lose power in a neighborhood for more than a day or two, people start acting nutty. And the thing about it is, we're very in touch with our world now. We have cell phones. We have
we were dependent
our
on it.
computer and TV. When that goes away and the connections to the rest of society break down, people get a little bit more barbaric. To put this in perspective, when a storm rolled through not that long ago, it knocked out one of the central nodes for the power grid down here in the south, so we lost power in this town. And it just so happened that I was out when it happened, and when I came back home, my front door was open, and I'm like, oh shit. And there was a police officer nearby, so I went to talk to him and tell him, that the power is out in my neighborhood, and I came home and my front door was open. I think it'd been broken into, and he told me I have bigger things to deal with, and drove off.
Wow, what a fucking prick.
Yeah, so it was me, and I met up with a friend of mine, and we had to like tactically sweep my house in the complete pitch blackness, trying to see if anybody was robbing it or not. I don't think it was robbed. Nothing was missing, but the door was open, and it's creepy as shit. And it doesn't sound that creepy, but when you're in a place, you've got no phone, no electricity, no power, no nothing, no police, no help coming, and it's just you and maybe one or two other people, shit can get real really, really fast, and you'll see that people serious up really fast.
Yeah,
Definitely with all the guns in America.
2 weeks I was without power, and it's happened like 5 times where I live, which is incredibly rare. Like the 7 or 8 years that I've lived where I'm living now, not once has there ever been a power outage. And where I live, we get some crazy storms, blizzards, rainstorms, huge storms. And it's just this previous year in 2011, 2012, we've gotten like 5 power outages. And I can tell you, Lowe's and Home Depot, they got a shit ton of money selling generators. I'm pretty sure if I went out like a week after it all ended, I went up and down my street just to check out the damage that happened, because the reason why it happened was because when the blizzard hit, it wasn't a lot of snow. It was just that since the Connecticut electrical companies, they haven't been getting all of their money that they're supposed to have been, so they haven't been keeping care of the trees around the power lines. And so when the blizzard comes, the ice gets on the trees, they become so heavy, they fall down, they knock down everything. I mean, there were power lines everywhere. And I walked down my street, and like every single house has a generator. And when you heard those things go, like at night, it's just like giant earthquake is what it sounded like was happening
Yep.
constantly. It was crazy, but I mean, I know I hung out with my friends a lot during that, and it was fun. But you just see people just walking around downtown where I live, and people are just like talking, making rumors of what happened, like it's a government conspiracy. I think I heard that from some crackhead. But it was crazy, to be honest. Like, I was afraid for where I live. Good thing I live in a nice urban neighborhood. No, sorry, a nice rural neighborhood is what I meant to say there. And so we have no problem. I live by a bunch of old people, so I don't think they would try to rob me. But it was crazy at the same time that it was really boring, because I must have read like 3 books, which I like reading, but I don't like when it turns nighttime and there's no lights to use but a candle, and then I feel like it's the 1800s again.
Oh, you got to get yourself one of those good old oil lanterns or build a fire or something.
I wish. We did make a fire. It was really cool. We actually used our fireplace for the first time, and I was afraid that it was going to explode, though, because there was a lot of ash and soot in the fireplace, that if that stuff is really flammable if you didn't know. And so yeah.
So, Yele, what happens when the power goes out in the Netherlands, or does it never go out?
Yeah, what kind of electrical do you guys have?
Most of the time it goes out in north because they're pumping some oil out of the earth, and yeah, that's the only place where it happens. I've never been in that kind of situation before, so
do you guys
I
have,
really
like-
don't know.
Do you guys have like a lot of solar, or is it like underground thermal? What kind of? How do you get your electricity around you? Is it just like because I'm when I
I think
imagine
it's we have like a lot of windmills, if that's what you call them.
windmills, yeah.
Windmills, yes.
Windmills, and we got some water electricity. I didn't know how to call
the
that.
famous Dutch windmills, hydroelectric power and windmills. It's mostly green energy, but I'm sure your grid probably has some sort of backup coal or oil burning plant, or you buy it from a neighboring
Yeah, of
country or
course.
something.
That's of course. Germany is really good at these things with green energy, but they're famous for that. If you didn't know,
All right,
they
so
make money out of it, like for
all right,
real.
so it's been about 20 minutes or so. I think it's about time that we put in the intermission. So we're gonna be right back. Enjoy the song that we're about to play for you guys. Peace.
Turn the lights off in his bedroom. For tonight I will be dreaming of you. It's the one thing I can rely on when everything else is so confused. I'm not leaving, no, that you're here with me. Don't wake me up, don't wake me up, don't wake me up. I may be dreaming, but what I felt for you is real. Don't wake me up, don't wake me up, don't wake me up. Don't wake me up, 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 don't wake me up. Don't wake me up. while the jury decides what to do with me. I was stupid, a little crazy. Is this what love is supposed to be?
Alright, and we're back from intermission, and we have a little friend with us here. Harry, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Harry, and I'm the manager of Soundglee Networking, and I do other things, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, so, Olympics. Since Harry's here now, I think that's something that we all want to talk about. UK, London specifically, hosted the Olympics. What was it like for you specifically? I know you live in Spalding, which I don't know where that is compared to London. So, what is that like?
Well, it was good and bad at the same time. It was good to know that all these athletes had taken part in our country, but it was also bad because the economy was terrible.
Yep,
the tax was all going to the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. Because that's what I read about. The only country that has actually made money from the Olympics being hosted was Beijing. And companies that help to host it, like the one that happened recently in Canada, they went bankrupt. And companies that help host it, and just countries that host it, in 10 years, their economy just drops and they lose all their money because they put so much money into the Olympics, and they don't get enough because they want to be the best. Like it's a pride, it's a pride thing.
Did you hear about the thing with the tickets where there was a ticket crisis? Well, people bought the tickets but never received them. That's why there's so many empty seats.
Oh man.
So obviously that's a big loss in money.
So Driftor, favorite Olympic sport? What is it?
Oh god, I don't watch the Olympics. Probably sprinting or maybe fencing.
Usain Bolt. That's talking about fencing. I watched one. I think it was South Korea, or it might have been.
It was South Korea versus Germany.
Yes,
I believe,
that was
or
it.
was it versus Belgium? I can't remember.
I can't remember. I think it's either one of those. But so you know about it where the 15-year-old volunteer who was timekeeping ended up not doing the time correctly, and then she refused to leave, and it's like that's such a.
If I'm not mistaken, it was the South Korean fencer. However they do it, she had 1 second to score a point on the opponent, so it'd be like go, and they hit the clock, and she scored a point like instantly. Mm-hmm. She just defeated, so she would have gone on to the gold medal round if I'm not mistaken. And the clock, like the time clock, never started.
Nope.
And there was this whole big fiasco, and they said the other person won. And in the Olympics, what you do to protest the decision is you sit down on the mat in the middle of the stadium, and that's very rarely done because it's shameful to your country to protest the judge's decision. You get booed and jeered. She sat down because she knew she won, and the judges reviewed it, and I don't know what sort of blind and dumb judges we have, but they decided that the decision was valid, and even though the clock didn't start, that the points didn't count and that she lost. So she sat down again in the middle of the mat to protest the judge's decision, which you're not allowed to do, and ended up getting escorted out by security. And the South Koreans were really pissed, and they got even more pissed off when they found out that the timekeeper that was running the clock was a 15-year-old British volunteer that never had any previous experience with timekeeping, but they just kind of gave him the job to have something to do.
You can't do that. That's such. It's for a gold medal thing. Like whoever won that, I think it was like for silver or bronze what they were doing, and then the person who won advanced to go to the gold match. And you can't have a 15-year-old volunteer to keep the time, especially in something like that where. It's a big deal. That's her life.
It wouldn't be as bad, but the kid had no experience timekeeping, if what I read was correct. So it would be like picking a random person off the street, and it's brutal and crushing because these athletes train their entire lives and like millions of dollars into getting this medal, and the person keeping score is just any random Tom, Dick, and Harry. It's bad.
Think how horrible that guy feels, though, that 15-year-old volunteer. Like, I know that everyone meant, like, oh, that was so stupid, why did he do that? He didn't know what he was doing. He was like, oh, I'll volunteer, sure, I'll help. And that's what he just wanted to be a part of the fucking Olympics. And now he's probably getting, like, sued by South Korea, and he's getting yelled at, and, oh, what a horrible...
Harry, that wasn't you, was it?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Fucking Harry.
What was it?
You fucked up the Olympics. I also read a story about the Olympic medalists. They have to pay a tax for the medals that they get. So, like, the gold medal, they had to pay, like, a $7,000 tax on the actual, the precious medal that they got. And so the bronze would pay, like, $2,000, silver, $5,000, gold, $7,000. I don't think that's the exact numbers, but it's around there. That's stupid, in my opinion.
I thought it was 30,000 for gold.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I hope not.
And 15 for bronze.
Oh my god.
I don't know
At
what
least in
we're
the United
still-
States, whatever sponsoring company that promoted them or whatever will take care of that.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But that's still horrible. I mean, they represent your country, and then you tax them, and they represent athletes of the world, and it's like you have to tax them. Really, they should be.
Everybody
celebrated.
gets taxed. You never heard the expression, the only two things certain in life are death and taxes? That's true.
Horrible. It is true, and it's horrible, though. So, how is the Olympics for the Netherlands? Did you guys win anything? Do you guys even participate in Olympics?
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of swimmers.
Do you? Well, you guys got shut down by Phelps and that other swimmer. So.
Lockie.
Yeah, Lockie.
Yeah, we don't have like a lot of Olympic things, people who join, I guess, but there are a few, and yeah, it wasn't a television. That's it, I guess.
So USA won the gold, just the medal challenge in general, and the gold medal challenge against China. We kind of just destroyed them the last week of the Olympics.
I thought
in 2008
Netherlands
it was the other way around.
It was because Beijing was a bigger deal for those. Like it was a huge deal. So, let's see, what was I gonna say?
I love the open ceremony.
Oh, from the Beijing one.
Yeah.
That was voted the #1 opening ceremony for any Olympics, and
Yeah.
the thing
it's
is,
China.
yeah, now every other Olympics you have to try to compete with that, which
Yeah.
is really difficult, man.
Oh, that's what I liked about I watched the opening ceremony, and I can't remember who. Was it Danny Boyle? Whoever directed the opening ceremony for the United Kingdom Olympics said, yeah, there's just no way we're going to top China, so we're just going to do our own thing and have fun.
Oh man, that's pretty much what it was like. But China went.
I like the
crazy
one
with
in
it.
England though.
I liked it too. I think it was cool. So I'm a huge Olympic fan supporter. I must have watched a ton of it. I watched beach volleyball because, I mean, they're hot. I watched the swimming. I watched track and field, and I watched every single basketball game, women's and men. And let me say, that was exciting to watch. Like I said before when we were talking earlier, I'm a huge basketball nut. I love it. And the women's basketball team have now won 44 games in a row during their entire Olympic career, and since the women's basketball was allowed in the Olympics, I think USA has. I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm pretty sure they've won every single year that it was hosted there. So that's impressive for the women's one, and also for the males basketball team. They just crushed their opponents, so it was awesome. So music, since SoundGlee's a music channel, we should probably talk about music.
Yeah.
Yella, what kind of music do you like, bud?
I like chill step, drum and bass.
What is chill step?
Chill step?
I want
is-
to get a definition of it.
It is a kind of dubstep in a chill way. It's
Oh, obviously.
really slow. It's not like it has the dubstep tunes, but dubstep is like really rough and fast and
It's like whoa, whoa, whoa.
hardcore, and chill step is just chill.
So Harry, what kind of music do you like?
I like everything club, house, drum and bass. Not so much dubstep, but
What's house?
house is house.
What the fuck?
It's
It's Hugh Laurie, the medical doctor.
Yeah, right. Awesome show, PhD.
wonderful.
Yeah, but like, what exactly is house? Like, what's the difference between like house and drum and bass?
It's right. So house is more hardcore electro.
I should probably
or-
know
It's
this.
more like the
Hardcore.
dance things at the festivals and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like dance, but a bit more hardcore.
Alright, I'll
You know the
drift over.
Dutch DJs? Like the Dutch DJs. Harry also mixes songs, if I say that right. And all the DJs everywhere, it's house music.
Oh yeah, Harry here, Driftor is I call him DJ Harry Hills. He's a professional mixer. I poke fun about it with some virtual DJ pro over here. So
All right.
so Driftor, what kind of music do you like?
This is a question that I was hoping to avoid. I don't.
That was
That was
disappointing.
That was very short and
I
sweet. That
don't.
was.
This I've actually had a lot of people accuse me of having no soul, but for the longest time I didn't like any music at all, and for the most part I still don't like
I'm
any
going-
music.
Sorry.
I've heard 2 songs in my life that I liked, and both of them are complete opposites of each other. I like Natural Blues by Moby, and I like the original Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics. But if you ask me how often I listen to them, it's probably like once a month at best. And for the most part, I just don't like music in general.
I'm gonna go on a limb.
Also not from the 80s and stuff. 60s, 80s, 90s.
Which one?
I don't know.
The Eurythmics was the mid '80s, and Moby's Natural Blues I think was the mid '90s, late
So-
'90s.
I'm gonna go on a limb here, but I'm gonna defend you on what you just said. I've had a friend growing up. His name's Adam, who he's the same thing with you. He's never found music interesting. I mean, I play him songs to try to like actually like aesthetically pleasing songs, not like hardcore dubstep or like hardcore rap or screamo. I try to give him like stuff that would like sound good, like that I personally like, but of course my taste in music is a lot different from other people. But when I grew up, I was probably until 9 years old I didn't like music, and then I just happened to get into the punk phase when I got to middle school, and I was like, yeah, punk rock, let's go, yeah, hardcore, like Sum 41, Blink-182. But my music taste has really evolved since then. I love indie electronic, indie pop, indie punk, whatever you want to. I don't even know how to really categorize.
What is
indie.
that? I have never heard of that.
What did you say? I'm a hipster. It's I guess you can call it hipster music if you really want to. I'm not gonna call it that because I don't go out and tell people, oh, I like indie music. I like underground indie music because I'm cool. I was listening to it before it got cool. But no, I like MGMT. I like the Postal Service. A lot of like huge indie bands that have been around.
Huge
like,
unknown.
Yeah, it's like,
band.
like
Vampire
these
Weekend.
mainstream indie bands.
Okay, listen, Vampire Weekend, MGMT, and the Postal Service. You should know those. Like those are pretty.
Yeah, I
pretty
totally
popular.
know those. I've definitely heard of them before.
Okay. How to describe it? It's
About the round?
you can call it hipster music, but I'm gonna call it chill electronic.
Chill step.
Chills. No, it's a lot to do with the melody, with in piano, electric piano, and so like it could just do it's a lot about vocals and the melody of the piano that goes with it, and of course it's like electronic beats.
Sounds legit.
Sounds yeah, it is legit. So fuck you, haters gonna hate. Hipster for life, man. I also like hip hop though, so like
Yeah, but you wouldn't believe how much the not liking music has been a problem. Like people, when I signed up for my dorms, they tried to assign people by musical taste, and I had none. Or
so
like
you were put in the corner, like fucking weird.
No, well, no. People at school would ask me what kind of music do you like. I don't really like any. Really weird. When I worked on a roofing crew, which was like all black people, and they asked me what kind of music I like. They were expecting some like white ass cornbread answer, like rock music or something. I was like, I don't like any music, and they were really like shocked the fuck out of them, and they said I didn't have a soul. Or what was it? I mean, they just all. I had to take music appreciation in college, and our first little question was like, write a piece about your favorite genre of music. So I wrote a little bit about how I don't have a favorite genre, so I don't listen to music. Professor wrote on there, liar, 0 F.
What a prick! Like, what the fuck? I'm, and the only reason why I'm defending you is because I have a friend who is exactly like you. I've known him for most of my life. And he still doesn't like music. He just doesn't like music. He doesn't find it aesthetically pleasing. When he finds he's really artistic, so he likes art. He likes painting. He likes drawing. He likes visual stuff. But I mean, if you play him any song, he's gonna like I don't know what the big deal is. I don't
Drifter,
like it.
what do you think about trailer music?
What the fuck?
Like
Movie
trailer
trailers?
music. Movie trailers, game trailers, stuff like that.
Oh, well, I understand the music complements the visual action. I'm not going to disagree with that. Like, you need the music in the movie because it's complementary, and to that extent, I would say that I would like it. Obviously, if you put, like, the Barney soundtrack on Judge Dredd, it's going to sound terrible, which, by the way, I think the Judge Dredd trailer is an excellent way to use music, like, there in the beginning. But
without music, movies would be really boring.
not necessarily. There are some movies that have virtually no music and still remain very good.
What happened with like silent films? And they did actually
Well,
put
not
music on
no,
those.
I mean, there's a lot of mainstream movies that just don't have like very much music in them, and they're still pretty good. But what I'm saying is like, everybody has a fucking ton of CDs or like a big iTunes collection, and they have headphones, and their phone is like loaded with 10 gigabytes of music, and they listen all the time. If you look on my computer, you'll find like the default Windows songs, the two that I mentioned. And just whatever crap that I have for when I need a montage, and the rest of it's just not there. People, their minds explode. They're like, "Where's your iTunes?" I don't want iTunes. And what am I going to do with iTunes?
I couldn't live.
You can also watch music, watch movies with it.
I recently started using Spotify, which is my new my new iTunes, I guess you can say. But it's Spotify, like they say it in the ads that you listen to, where it's like their focus is also to stop people from stealing music and help pay the artists is what it is. And where they have a huge music library, right? They have almost every single band you can think of, and they take the music. You can put it in a playlist. You can even download it from there. But of course, it's like an internet radio, like Pandora, where if you listen to it, ads will play when you're listening to it, unless you buy premium. And
premium.
and they pay per ad to the music artist, and that's how it is. So it's trying to stop people from like just downloading music, which I haven't done in such a long time because I stick with Pandora and Spotify. I don't think I've actually downloaded an album in
I have
a year. I'm gonna say that I don't even remember the last time I downloaded anything, to be honest, because like for movies I used to download it off of Pirate Bay a lot. But there's streaming websites that just stream movies for free if you want to like watch them, and you could watch movies that just came out in the theaters if you wanted to, but of course they're gonna be shitty because literally they record it with a camcorder on someone's lap. So some of them are actually pretty good quality, but most of the time not so much.
Sometimes they'll do a digital rip, like they have versions of movies for airplanes, or especially like the buses in the UK, or digital theater, and somebody will like split the digital outline or whatever, and you get a beautiful digital copy. But you're right, 99% of them are just like something on a cam that's awful.
Yeah, it's terrible, and I find most of the time it's Russia that does it, because I swear to God, every single movie that I watch on that streaming
Racist.
website, there's always some, like in the movie theaters, they're set up differently, and you always hear someone shouting something in Russian, and it's like, what the fuck? And
I think if the movie was actually recorded like in Russian with the camcorder, they would have subtitles.
yeah, here's the thing though. Here's another thing. Like for some reason, I decided to watch the second part of the Deathly Hallows, the Harry Potter movie, from that because I wasn't gonna be able to see it for like a week, and I wanted to see it before my friends did, so I'd be like, I'm a fucking hipster, fuck you guys. And so I watched it from there, and I don't recommend, if you really want to see a movie, see it in the movie theaters, buy it, because that is way better than what I saw. It was such a piece of shit, because for the trailers and stuff, and for the opening scenes and stuff, they will put everything in Russian. So like you couldn't, the actual title of the Deathly Hallows was something in fucking Russian. And it's like, am I even watching the right movie here? And of course, it's not. They don't speak in Russian, because if they've had they wouldn't have everyone learn Russian for the movie. But it was a bootleg jacked version of it, and the audio kept skipping because the frame rate on the actual video recording kept skipping, and so the audio and the visual was off, and it was terrible, and it ruined the movie for me. And so that movie might have been my favorite movie if I actually saw it in theaters. But not so much for the fact that I saw a horrible version for it. So a lot of the time, movies you like, it's based upon how you see it and the environment that you see it. So that's interesting. So
Yeah, cinemas.
let's go. So we were talking before about time zones. I want to quickly touch on this. About a day or so when we were trying to set up the schedule for this, it was awkward to say the least. So what I wanted to bring up is the idea that let's say my birthday is today at like 1 o'clock. If you want to celebrate your birthday when you were actually born, you could literally just go in a jet and celebrate your birthday for about 2 days straight, because of the way that the time zones work. Does anyone actually know how time zones originated? Does anyone know? Because I'm not sure.
By the rotation of the Earth's axis?
Yeah.
No. The time zone is a figurative thing. Like it was created by us. I know that. It's not like we like.
It was for standardization purposes. Like, if I asked you how long is a workday, let's say I'm probably going to blame the British on this one, though. Knowing my luck, somebody's going to get all up in the comments. It was obviously the Arabs. But anyway, I'm just going to say we're going to say like Dutch East India Trading Company. The East India Trading Company.
I thought maybe it was.
Let's say they had a standard workday that goes from like 9 to 5, which back then it was probably like 6 to 6, but whatever. And but obviously the sun rises in Great Britain before it does in the Bahamas and before it does in Japan, and you needed a standard time depending on where you are on the Earth, because our days are defined by our relative position to the sun. So they set these time zones in place and narrow bands of 1 hour so that we get 24. I think we have like some little half time zones, but there's more or less 24 in little 1 hour increments, so that your days and your work hours and life cycles are more or less the same all over the world. Like imagine if you're in the Netherlands and you came over to the United States and let's say we ran absolute time, you wouldn't know the relative times of anything. Like you wouldn't know what time the sun was at its highest, which our word would be noon. But if it was only absolute time and we ran on GMT, it would be, okay, well, what time is noon in Siberia? And you're like, if you sit here and you think about that, GMT, 1, 2, 3, I don't know, fuck it, all the clocks would be weird. But now that we have time zones, like what time is noon? 12, 12, 12. What time do you quit work? 5, 5, 5. And it's all just relative to our day-night cycle.
But, okay, so, now, here's my other question, though, for you. What time is it in space? Because there's no time zones in space. There's no time zones in space. And so
They'd probably just run on like absolute time or GMT, because
So-
we always reference GMT. So in space, they would probably just reference GMT,
So
or they
it's-
could use their reference time wherever their
Is
local home base
GMT
was.
General Main Time or Greenwich Main Time?
I think it's Greenwich Main Time.
So here's the idea: is time just a figurative term that we created to because in space there's no time.
Yes, there is time and space.
Well, explain.
Yes.
Can you explain?
Okay, when you put astronauts in space, do they freeze like they're in the fucking Matrix and come back down and nothing happened? Or do they continue to live and experience their
Yeah,
life?
but the time that we go by, like let's say we look up and we're in space and we look at our watch, it's like, oh, okay, what time is it in space? How do we know that? Because on Earth, we have our own set figurative time that we created.
All right, you're mixing up two different semantical problems here. Time, the way we've built our system here on Earth, we've built it around our biological day-night cycle, and the numbers and units that we use are just convenient for that. Time is something that keeps going whether we give a fuck about it or whether we exist or not. Time is a universal constant. Well, actually, it's not constant. If you get near a supermassive black hole or huge gravity well, it changes. But anyway, it's something that continues regardless of if you measure it or not. And what you're screwing up is you're saying there's no time in space. There's definitely time in space. If you have a stopwatch on Earth, it'll run the same in space, more or less. There's some minor difference for the general relativity, but people continue to age. They continue to live, eat, breathe, poop, all that kind of stuff. And they do work in the space station the same way they do here. So they need a time to wake, to sleep. And the time in space continues. You just adjust your sleep cycle and set it like a base reference time. If the space team is like Chinese, they'll probably set their day-night cycle around whatever their local Chinese base
That's
would be.
that's what I was
Same thing
thinking.
in the United States. It doesn't really matter if you're talking like Star Trek ass traveling around the universe. Then and trading and stuff, then it would probably be very simple to just set like a base time off of anything. It doesn't really even matter what you base it on, just so long as you have one constant like base time like GMT. Because in space, the GMT system would work better than it would on Earth.
So do you think NASA would go by they're stationed isn't it in Florida where NASA's like main
Yeah, Florida
place?
or Alabama.
So they would base it upon that time zone. So I'm gonna go. Wouldn't that be? I guess that's what it would be. It's just this is some of the stuff that I think about when I'm like just randomly spacing out for some reason. It's like, what time would it be if I was in space right now?
Well, the time it's the same. Like you're existing in the same.
Yeah, that's
time
what. Yeah,
frame.
you're existing in the same dimension, so the time would have to be relative to that, I guess.
No, it's just the difference of what numbers you choose. Are you going to choose or miles or meters or things like that, or just whatever unit system you want to create? I'm a trained engineer, and when things don't work well for me in one unit system, when things get complicated, or my problems don't fit very well on a square grid or a grid oriented this way, all you do is build your own grid or build yourself a spherical or circular grid or build your units around whatever increments are convenient for you.
Okay. So Harry or Yella, what are your ideas on it that we just discussed?
I really don't know. I never really I never.
I'm
really
gonna stay
thought
out
about
of this.
Yeah, I've never really
I never
thought
really
about it.
thought about it. So why would I talk? Why would I think about it?
That's what I like. Why am I thinking about this? That's what I think about when I'm
You're a
done with
hipster?
it. Yeah, I'm a hipster apparently. The hipster host of Soundly. What's up? So, man, all right, that was a good talk on time zones. I don't know why did I even bring that up. To be honest, it's that idea that was kind of potheadish. It's like, whoa, man, the universe is so big and we're so tiny, man. Whoa. Okay, so we were talking before, but we only have a little bit more to go. But I wanted to touch on Gamma Lab and on it, and I wanted to get your opinion because I know you did a video on it, but I want to get right now in this podcast. So our listeners who might not have seen it, I want to get your opinion and point of view on Gamma Lab, who sponsors you and the products that they have.
Okay, as you know, I'll go ahead and tell you my allegiances. I am sponsored by Gamma Labs. They pay me to promote their products, and I did this after I researched it and evaluated the products in what I would call a scientific manner. which is mostly many hours on Google and a little bit of self-testing. And the thing about it is, I personally do not drink caffeinated products, or I do so very rarely. I come from a family of addicts, so I avoid mental stimulants, no alcohol, no marijuana, avoid painkillers, avoid caffeine, things like that. So when I was initially approached by Gamma to sponsor an energy drink, I was very turned off by this. I was very skeptical, and I decided to read about it. And what I found out is that Gamma started with a protein shake, not a protein shake. It was a, oh my God, the words. It was a creatine-based shake, but it was also built with caffeine, and they removed all the sugar and unhealthy stuff. And it wasn't really like hitting so much with the exercise crowd, and they tried to rework it as a gaming drink because gamers really liked energy drinks and it really hit with them. And then they, based on that success, they built a new formula specifically for gamers that took out the creatine because they didn't need that and added in a couple other things and more caffeine, of course. And generally speaking, I tell people you don't need caffeine. Caffeine is addictive to a certain extent. It's probably not healthy to drink this much all the time. But at the end of the day, it's like talking to a brick wall. There are gamers that live on energy drinks and are going to continue to do so no matter how much I rant about it. There are adults that live on coffee and Coke and just, especially in the United States, almost everybody is to a certain extent a caffeine addict. They drink it all the time, and I'm not going to be able to do a damn thing about it, whether I think it's really healthy or not. So I look at Gamma Labs, and Gamma Labs is working very hard to make their drinks healthy. They're still largely caffeinated drinks. That's the energy boost you get from it. They also put some what they called focus complex in there, which had a few chemicals that are supposed to increase focus and attention, and I haven't had the time to really research into those. But the bulk of the drink is just a huge caffeine hit, like a double or triple Red Bull. But what they did is it's no sugar, it's no carbohydrates, it's no fat, it's no carcinogens in there. They boosted it with antioxidants and tons of vitamins, and they tried to make the most effective and healthiest energy drink that they could for gamers. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, well, if I'm going to promote something, you know, why instead of trying to change somebody's lifestyle habit and tell them not to drink energy drinks, why don't I just convince them to drink the healthiest energy drink on the market? And if you buy, you unfortunately have to buy on the internet in like bulk now, but if you do that, it's probably one of the more cost-effective ones anyway. So, am I making sense with this? Like, if they're going to go ahead and drink energy drinks, why shouldn't I be on board promoting the best, healthiest, most effective energy drink versus Red Bull, which tastes like cat piss and has tons of sugar in it?
And so, I accept that point of view, and I think that's actually awesome, especially the fact that you research so much into it, and your view on it is a good view because it's like it's a healthy way for gamers to get their energy. And I myself, I drink coffee, you know. I love energy drinks, you know. I'm into that. I'm in that that percentage, that gamer, you know, who like the energy drinks. And so I'm like really interested in trying it, Gamma Labs, because I would just like to test myself how it would be on me. Like, I know a lot of people I know is like, oh yeah, Red Bull doesn't do anything to me because I'm so fucking cool. And it's like it gets me.
Drink too much, you build up a tolerance.
It gets me twitchy. I don't like drinking a lot of like NOS or Red Bull specifically. Like, I'll stick to coffee because I can stand coffee, but Red Bull just makes me twitch, and it's like I don't feel good.
Well, I'll tell you, Gamma might be a little bit like that. I don't really drink energy drinks very much, so any sort of Coke or energy drink has a pretty good effect on me because I don't have much caffeine in my system. I have a ton of free Gamma Labs. I usually only drink it when I know that I have a lot of work to do and I have to stay up all night and that sleep just isn't going to happen. Or some days you just feel like shit, and an energy drink is nice. But when I'm kind of careful with it because the stuff is it's strong.
Yeah.
They're not playing around when they tell you it's powerful. Like, I drink one and I'm pretty wired for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, how are you with it, Harry and Yeller, with like energy drinks in general?
I love caffeine. I mean, I've been drinking it loads since a very young age, so it doesn't, like Drifter was saying, I build a tolerance so I can drink more of it, obviously, without having any effect.
Yeah, me too. Just Coke, Red Bull, anything.
Yeah, Coke, Red Bull, because I've been drinking it from such a young age and constantly.
I guess that's just our generation too, because
But
you know,
like everyone drinks Coke. You go somewhere, you get Coke. You know.
yeah. I wouldn't think Coke being like a caffeine supplement for people. Like, I guess
Dude,
if you
Coke has
honestly,
a lot of caffeine in
yeah,
it.
yeah, I didn't actually realize that. I mean, like,
A lot of sugar.
For you, since you don't have any caffeine in your system, I'm assuming it would be a pretty big punch. But like, if I drink it, it's just caffeine. It's just a Coke. It's a sweet soda.
It's just the taste.
It's just the cola taste. And so, like, I brought up On It, which I found out through Joe Rogan and Rooster Teeth. Podcasts are both sponsored by them, and I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan. If you guys don't know who Joe Rogan is, he's a host for a lot, like every single UFC. He's a host for it, and he's also he hosts Fear Factor when it was on every season, and he personally uses it. The people at Rooster Teeth, they personally tried it, and they gave their unbiased opinion about it, which is why I'm interested in it now, and I did some research on it. But like Drifter and I were talking about before, I didn't talk about it specifically. Like, I didn't research specifically with the idea that scientifically I didn't research it. So.
Yeah, this is where we stopped earlier. I mentioned what kind of research, and he said he read a lot of reviews and YouTube videos, and I went through the same process with Gamma. When I read the reviews and the YouTube videos, you had some people that said this doesn't work, and then you had some people listing the effects as they were written on the box.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go back and you read the scientific literature behind creatine or behind caffeine and how they actually work, you find that they don't work remotely how people say they do, and it's the placebo effect. Like, I could give people a red drink and tell them it's an energy drink, and they'll drink it and they'll start acting more excited because they're kind of fooling themselves. And like with Gamma, I know they pay me, and I hope they don't get mad about like this, but a lot of companies, they'll say creatine makes you stronger, better, faster, harder, and that's on the box because it's very good advertising. But the reality is that creatine is going to give you between a 3 and 5% muscle increase over like 5 months of exercising, which isn't really huge, but it's still a 5% boost. And I found out about all this not by reading reviews, but I just got what you got to do, especially with like the On It stuff. I looked at it, and there's a lot of chemicals whose names I don't understand. You have to get on Google and Wikipedia and these other places and read about each individual component, and not just read the summaries, but especially in Wikipedia, they'll have those little blue reference links. They usually link you to scientific articles and scientific journals that are published where you can read about the effects of this stuff, and more importantly, read about how they tested it individually. Kind of like when I was doing Gamma, there was my subscribers, some of them got really pissed off and said creatine causes kidney failure. I'm like, well, this concerns me because I'm not going to promote anything that causes kidney failure. So you go back in the literature and you read, oh, this study says that creatine causes kidney failure. Okay, well, this is the one I want to read. And I read about it, and they tested 10 athletes, which is not a very big sample size. One of them was a diabetic athlete, and in the diabetic athlete, they made him drink like 5 creatine shakes a day, and he had kidney failure. And I'm like, well, no fucking shit, he had kidney failure. And there's data like that propagates out there. And when I saw the On It stuff, it was very heavily marketed toward. There was like this. It was something that was like shroom power, and the other one was Mind on It and hemp juice. It seemed to be marketed toward a more alternative group, like a more experimental with drugs kind of group.
Yeah.
And that's generally a very trusting group. Like, they don't believe their doctor, but you give them a pill and they'll do just about anything. So I'm really skeptical of it. It might work great. I mean, it really might. But before you sign on board, you really need to read the literature behind what the key ingredients do, and more importantly, how they interact with each other, because sometimes they'll cancel each other out or something. And try it yourself, but without any expectations, and see what happens.
So, for those of you, since we kind of explained and touched on it, basically it's like a neurological supplement where it stimulates the neurons in your brain, apparently. I don't know how, because of course I didn't do the scientific research on it, but that's what they say. And it has 2 uses. One, you take it when you wake up, and it's not like a caffeine boost. You just think clearer, you remember clearer, you're more motivated. It's like the caffeine rush people get, just without the twitching and the thirst and like the jaw clenching and the being the dehydrated. And there's the other use for it is that people take it before they go to bed. And the idea of that is that when you stimulate your neurons in your head and your brain, when you go to sleep, you have crazy dreams. And when you dream, like, literally, you dream all night. Like, you're supposed to dream, like, 5 minutes before you wake up. That's the idea. But that's when you have your REMs, typically. and like they're crazy dreams, and most of the time you can't remember them. And so when you do this, you get lucid dreams, which is you can control what happens in your dream, and you're much more aware of your dreams happening. And it is proven that when you dream and you have good dreams, it increases your sleep efficiency, which is normally, on average, a adult male, 18 or older, 18 to 21, who's in normal shape, gets about 60% sleep efficiency when they sleep without any added sleeping medication as melatonin or Xanax or that new NyQuil sleep aid or any cold medicine in general that's typically designed for nighttime. And so when you dream, it increases your sleep efficiency because you go into a mindset where you're in a I don't know how to explain it. You're like in a you just don't move at all. And
it's paralysis. Your body shuts down your limbs' ability to move and a lot of your sensory perception so that you don't wake yourself up from sleep, and so that if you have a dream you don't like take off running or punch yourself in the face, which is why if you wake up in the wrong sleep cycle you'll get sleep paralysis.
Yep. So that's kind of what I'm interested about because I'm big, like I love dreams. I don't know when I started researching about this, but I did a lot of research about lucid dreams and dreaming in general, and why we dream. And just like there's your body releases drugs, natural drugs found in everyone that just helps you sleep, helps you stay asleep, and gives you crazy dreams, especially REMs and lucid dreams, which are extremely rare. Like the last time I remembered a dream was about a month. No, I guess it was 2 weeks ago. But before that, it was like months before that. And I couldn't tell you what I normally dream about, and that goes for a lot of people. Like, do you guys remember your dreams at all?
Nope.
No,
I don't.
I only remember the craziest of craziest dreams.
Like
They're the only ones I ever
me
remember.
too.
it's like
I unfortunately remember almost all of my dreams.
oh,
I don't know. Yeah, I'm assuming you've watched some of my YouTube videos. I have a whole series of dream videos, and they're unpleasant. I had it's think something kind of like Inception would be the short way to say it, but add more horror to that.
oh man.
So that's I dream too much.
So, do you find yourself being able to control what happens in your dream ever, or is it just like shit happens? Scary.
Rarely there is a lucid dream where I can control everything in a godlike state. That's fairly rare though, and I usually wake myself up. Normally I wake up in a scenario that's been created, and I'm free to move as I would be normally. Like I can run, walk, talk, whatever. But the characters and environment around me are completely beyond my control. For a long time, I had a particular problem with what's called a Jungian shadow, which in my case acted more like the director from Left 4 Dead and created increasingly nightmarish things for me to have to play through. So I didn't sleep for about a year or so, and it was really awful. So you talk about like this product increasing dreams, and I'm sitting over here like biting my nails saying,
Oh my
I'm never
God.
gonna fucking try that ever.
Okay, yeah, I don't recommend you try that. So,
Yeah.
Man, that's pretty intense. But like,
Yeah,
I don't know, it's something interesting.
I thought that's why you brought this up. That's what a lot of people come to my channel for, is the dream videos. It was it's kind of neat to talk about, even though it's disturbing. The concept of the shadow was from Carl Gustav Jung, who defined it as the antithesis of everything that you are, or everything that you don't want to be. It's everything that the conscious mind is not able to perceive, which is unfortunately a lot of things. And for human beings, that's a lot of your darker things. So imagine if your subconscious was split from your conscious and kind of free to roam while you slept, and it was unpleasant.
I feel bad for bringing it up now, man. Because when I think of Driftcar, I think of your gun videos on Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah,
that's what I think
reviews.
about. I do remember you doing something with like obviously Jesus, I think, and I'm pretty sure that's how I first met you. And am I wrong here, or did you do something? Because it's been a while.
I did one or two videos. I think I did one really big one with atheism.
Yeah.
It was like a 45-minute Battlefield video.
Yep, I think that's the one where I actually found you, because I was originally an obviously Jesus fan just because I was a fan of Team Fortress 2, and he did a lot on it, and so that's like, oh hey, cool, I'm gonna check this out, and then it's like, oh my fucking god, that was intense. I was sweating after watching it, but So I think that wraps it up. We've been doing this for about this section for about 45. Holy shit. Okay, so we've been doing this for a while now. So we're gonna wrap it up.
It's
Everyone,
fun, so
yeah, everyone say bye.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.